What a great way to start a video. Anyways, hello, Minsa here, and I'm going to be talking about the summary of World War II because the summative is coming up. Before we begin, we have to go back to the World War I history and remind ourselves about how it ended. There are two important factors we must remember that will lead to the cause of World War II eventually. As we all know, World War I ended with the Treaty of Versailles, which was a document stating Germany is responsible for the cause of the war. In addition to that, Germany was asked to pay 132 billion gold marks and had to reduce their army to 100,000 men and destroy or hand over its tanks, air force, and fleets. And Germany lost all its overseas colonies in Africa and Asia, and over a tenth of its land in Europe, including some of its most productive industrial areas. Well, already hearing this, each and every list in the treaty landed a fatal blow in already weak Germany. Due to the treaty, Germany fell into a great economic and political fall, and people were already angry enough. Secondly, from the World War I, world leaders established an international organization called League of Nations, consisting of France, Britain, Italy, Japan, and after 1926, Germany as permanent members. The League of Nations had several key parts, including the assembly where all members met yearly but could only make decisions by unanimous vote, making action difficult. The League worked through various agencies to improve global conditions, such as the Health Committee, International Labour Organization, Refugee Committee, and others. However, it lacked enforcement and power and often inefficient. A key weakness that was absent of the world's most powerful nation, the USA and the Soviet Union, and initially Germany, which significantly limited the League's influence and effectiveness. I can see the big club is already falling apart, but it won't affect the world that much, right? It's 1920s. You know what that means? The Roaring Twenties in America. You see, after the war, unlike countries in Europe, America didn't have any damage to its economy because their homeland was not attacked. Due to this factor, America quickly began to grow their economy very, very fast. Well, first of all, even during the war, America was making money through exporting provisions and weapons. And they kept producing the goods even after the war, which began to become a problem itself. You see, after the war ended, other countries were not buying their food from America like they used to do during the war, which created a dead inventory. Oof. And the problem was the American consumers were not consuming the products much. Oh no. Also, the fall of US stock markets played a significant role in the beginning of the Great Depression. I will not go into very specific details, but you can always go to YouTube and search up those informations. But here's the overview. US investors were investing in Europe to help them rebuild their cities, which later on everybody starts investing because of guaranteed gain. So literally everyone from all different social classes starts investing, and even banks encourage people to invest by giving out reckless amount of loans without questioning, which banks shouldn't do. Oopsie. The thing is, the Dow Jones point representing the US stock market increased so much. In 1924, it started with only 100 points. By 1929, the point rose to 381. Seeing this, the international investors sensed something was wrong and started to retrieve their stocks. But here's the catch. Not just few people, but all of them at once, marking the beginning of the fall of American stock market. The effect was devastating because only 1% of American population held 60% of America's wealth, and most Americans went bankrupt, becoming homeless. A great percentage of workers lost their job, estimating about 13 million. Not only affected America, but it also affected internationally. Europe after the war relied on America's investors to rebuild their countries, but suddenly their only supporting line was cut off. Germany by 1932 had an unemployment rate of 35% out of total workforce, about estimating 6 million people. Great Britain had 22%, estimating 2.7 million people, and France, having 7 to 8 years worth of economic growth, stopped. Also, the colonies were greatly affected too, as the colonial powers started to exploit more out of them, and because of the mono-economic system that European powers made, it was especially difficult for them to make money. Well, Germany not having any more colonies, they were broke and they're angry. Well, how did it end? Simple. New war. The collapse of Austro-Hungary Empire and the Ottoman Empire left the disintegration of their territories to smaller independent nations. But the catch is, they don't get to draw the borders themselves. Great Britain and France redrew the borders without considering the culture and other very important factors, creating a resentment towards European power. Nice. But also, this massive power vacuum created opportunities for several ideologies to widely spread across the world. Let's have a look. Communism aims for an equal society which is ruled by laborers. In their society, production is shared by the entire society. So production is like a factory. Let's say there is a bread factory. From the factory, you are allowed to have your own bread. So Envy has her own bread, Inho has his own bread, and I have my own bread. However, individuals cannot own a factory itself. It is claimed as community's shared property. Socialism, very similar to communism, as it is often viewed as a before step of fully becoming a communist state, since communist state is governed by laborers themselves, protecting their authority at the same time cannot be performed perfectly from the beginning. So in the process, a small elite fraction is needed to represent the government and nation. And when the group of elites are in charge of the nation, it is called socialism. Anarchism denies the existence of nation itself, rejects all form of authority, and champions the individual's freedom to its maximum potential. So, which means no law, no government, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Yeah! But which is really bad, because it's gonna create a chaos. Fascism. Based on populism ideology, fascism prioritized strong bond between nation and their citizens. Very militaristic and authoritarian ideology. Also thinks that individual must be part of nation's development. Fascism rose in early 20th century Europe as a response to political instability, economic hardship, and fear of socialism after World War I. It rejected democracy and communism, promoting authoritarian rule, nationalism, and traditional values. Italy, under Mussolini in 1922, became the first fascist state, inspiring others like Germany and Spain. Fascism relied on extreme nationalism, often tied to race or culture, and used propagandas, violence, and fear to control the public. Fascist leaders gained support by blaming minorities, communist, and democratic governments for society's problem, promising strong leadership and national revival. The League of Nations failed as a global organization because it lacked the power and authority to enforce its decisions. Key world powers like the US never joined, and others like Germany and Soviet Union joined late or left. Decisions required unanimous votes, making an act slow and difficult. The League also had no military force and relied on countries to enforce sanctions, which they often refused to do. Additionally, when major members like Japan and Italy broke international rules, the League failed to act effectively, showing its weakness and encouraging further aggression. And the war began with the two countries, Japan and Italy's invasion of others. Japan's invasion of China in 1937 and Italy's invasion of Ethiopia in 1935 showed how aggressive powers were willing to expand by force. Ignoring international rules, both countries defied the League of Nations, which failed to stop them, revealing the League's weakness. His invasion encouraged further aggression, especially by Nazi Germany, which saw that the world would not resist expansion. This pattern of unchecked invasions and growing militarism directly contributed to the outbreak of World War II. During the World War II, the Nanjing massacres saw Japanese troops brutally kill and assault civilians in China. The Holocaust was Nazi Germany's systematic genocide of 6 million Jews. The siege of Leningrad caused massive starvation and death as Soviet civilians endured a brutal German blockade. Firebombing like those in Dresden and Tokyo destroyed cities and killed thousands. The war ended after the US dropped atomic bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, causing Japan's surrender. And this was basically the end of the video. There are a lot of information that I did not include in this video because it's going to be long. But you can always check your Google Classroom and the documents provided in the Google Classroom to check. And also you can ask AI and other sources, blah blah blah. Anyways, thank you so much and bye bye. Have a good luck with your summatives, I guess. Yeah, peace.